Hey guys, Golden here. So Ikoria is almost upon us. All the cards are now revealed, and it's time to start brewing. So I want to thank Wizards of the Coast for giving me access to their Access Streamer event. So for those of you who have not watched the event before, basically they give me a God account, and I get all the cards, and I get to play as much Magic as I want a day early. So it's going to be really fun. I have a few decks that I wanted to start brewing. I'm going to be live streaming the event here on the channel. So make sure if you want some early Ikoria action, stop by to hang out on that day. But over the next few days, I want to showcase a few of the decks that I'm going to be playing. Also, if there's any comments that you guys have on the decks, or if there's any decks that you want showcased, please put it in the comments below. You can jump into the Discord. I have a link below for that you can jump in there. There's a spot where you can put deck lists, stuff like that, and I'd love to hear from you guys as well. I want to play some user submitted decks from you guys. I would love that. Not just my own brews. So please put some stuff in there that you want to see. Even if it's just a card you want me to try to build a deck around, I'll be more than happy to do that. I'm still going to be brewing decks for the next few days until that comes out. So I would love to get some feedback from you guys. All right, so let's take a look at the first deck. So the first deck I wanted to showcase is a Boros cycling deck. So this card right here caught my eye as soon as it came out. It's Zirda the Dawnwaker. So this card is one of the new companion cards. Companion being you can play it from outside of the game. You put it in your sideboard, or in Commander you can put it outside of the game. And as long as your main board meets certain requirements, you can play it at any time during the game. Obviously you still have to pay its mana cost and that kind of stuff, but you have access to it throughout the entire game. Now once you cast it, it does go onto the stack. It comes out of your sideboard. You can't just recast it like you can a Commander or a Brawl card. But it is something that you have access to on curve if you want to play it, which makes it very powerful. And this one particularly has a very good effect that goes with a cycling deck. So cycling is an activated ability, and this card reduces the cost of activated abilities by 2. Obviously you can't go less than 1, so it's not going to make your cycling free. That would just be way too powerful, but you can get a good discount on your cycling abilities, and in a deck where cycling is everything, it fits in really well. I do have one in the sideboard. I have one in the main board too, because I think it works that well with the deck. But this is something that I'm excited to try with. And out of all of the companion cards, other than maybe the blue-green companion card, this is one of the ones that I was most excited to try, and one of the ones that I thought actually has a good presence in the current metagame, because this isn't that hard to accomplish. It only requires permanents, so instants and sorceries don't matter. And it has to be an activated ability, which when you really look into it, there are way more activated abilities than you initially think, even if you don't use them some of the times. There's a lot of them on cards. Tap lands are activated abilities, and stuff like cycling, like I said, is an activated ability, and there's a lot of that in the current set. So I think this card is something that can be used. Also, the fact that it has split mana costs here makes it viable in a lot of decks, and might be something we see in the upcoming set. So this deck has a lot of fun interactions. So cycling itself is powerful because you get to fix your hand. You're not stuck with big cards. You get to get rid of, if you're on turn 2 and you have a 7-drop, you can cycle it out and you can hopefully draw a land to stay on curve, or you can draw a cheaper creature that you can play. So cycling in and of itself is good. With the discount, it's even better. And then with some of the cycling interactions that they came out with in Ikoria, it's even better. So one of the reasons I wanted to start with this deck is it has pretty much mostly Ikoria cards, so it's going to be a fun one to start out with on Wednesday. And I wanted to play with some of the new cards, so that's what we're going to do. The first one, Ghidorah, Wandering Monster. So it has a Godzilla alternate art, so you might know it as the Godzilla card, but it is a 8/8 trample haste. Cycles for 2, but when you cycle it 4 times, it enters the battlefield. Whenever you cycle this card normally, it goes to the from the graveyard back into your deck, so it allows you to keep a lot of them in your deck, which increases the odds of drawing it more, so you can cycle it more. But if you can get an 8/8 trample haste here in a few turns in, it's very, very powerful. Another powerful card to go along with the cycling mechanic is Unpredictable Cyclone. So this is a 5 mana enchantment. It has cycling on it, so it does meet the requirement of Zirda. And then if you cycle another card, it allows you to exile the top cards of your deck until you find one of the same permanent type, being like creature, instant, sorcery, that kind of stuff, and play it without paying its mana cost. So if you've been playing for a while, it's kind of like Cascade, only with permanent type. So it allows you to cycle a card cheaply, and you might hit Ghidorah, you might hit Sanctuary Smasher, and if you cycle a Flourishing Fox and you hit a Ghidorah, that's pretty damn good. So very powerful card, very powerful interaction that is a little bit RNG, but if it hits, it's going to be good. I had thought about lowering the number of cheaper creatures in the deck to increase the odds of Ghidorah. We'll see. That day we'll be making some tweaks to the deck. We'll see what works out, and we'll play around with it a little bit. But as of right now, this is how I have it. So another powerful card that came out within this new set to go along with the cycling is Zenith Flare. So Zenith Flare deals X damage to any target, and you gain X life, and X is the number of cycling cards in your graveyard. So for every card that's in your graveyard with cycling, you deal a point of damage, gain a point of life, and it's an instant as well, so you can play it on the opponent's turn. So this is a potential finisher. I have 4 of them because it does deal damage to any target, so it could be something that you can use to target planeswalkers, target creatures. And I would imagine with a deck like this, with all the cycling, a few turns in, you're gonna have you're gonna have a decent amount of damage, enough to kill a creature or a planeswalker a lot of the time. And so it's something that we'll see. This could be the all-star of this deck, just as a big finisher. And there's obviously other ways to build around this card, which I'm going to play around with for sure in the upcoming set, but it's definitely something I think you have to include in any type of cycling deck. Maybe not 4 if it's more of a creature base like this, but we'll see how it performs, and we'll make adjustments as we need to. So other than the big boys, we have pretty much all of the other cycling cards that they came out with in the set. They came out with a decent amount of them. I didn't put all of them in here, but I put the ones that I think are going to be relevant, give us good board presence, add pressure, that kind of stuff. Flourishing Fox is one of those. Whenever you cycle a card, you put a 1/1 counter on Flourishing Fox. So it's a 1-drop that just keeps growing in a deck like this, and something that is going to be a threat early on that they're going to have to want to deal with, or else it's going to get too big to deal with. But it's just a cheap creature, goes really well with the cycling mechanic, and allows you to add pressure early on. Another one we put in here, we have the 2 Draneth cards, Draneth Healer and Draneth Stinger. I put 3 of each. I'm not sure, I put 3 of the Healer and 4 of the Stinger to add a little bit more pressure. We'll see which one performs. I'm not sure about this one in a deck like this. I don't know if the life gain is really going to be that necessary. We're probably going to want to be pressuring the opponent more, but we'll make adjustments as we see fit. But they have the cycling mechanic. It's a 2/2. You get that early pressure, and gets you some board presence as well. Valiant Rescuer allows you to go wide on the board. It's a 3/1, so it does also add pressure. So we got that early pressure that if we're not getting to these big finishes at the end, Zenith Flare might be able to end the game earlier in the mid game. So something that we can... if we can get off to a fast start, they deal with our board, then we start dropping our bombs at the end. It gives you a couple different ways to win, and it gives the deck a little bit more depth, I think. And then just some removal spells. Justice Strike, something that I think is going to be good, at least at first in the set with all the big monsters. And everything has a lot of power, so it's something that I think will find a target and find a removal target very easily, especially at first when everybody's playing around with this stuff. So something I think you'll see a lot of right now, or at least should in any Boros build. And then the new card, Fire Prophecy, deals 3 damage to target creature. You can put a card from your hand at the bottom of your library. Doesn't cycle it, but it allows you to dump a card that you're not going to use. I don't know if this is really necessary, but I wanted to play with it because it came in the new set. Put it in here as opposed to Scorching Dragonfire for a removal spell. We'll see what comes of the metagame. This might be something we drop out, get a 4th Justice Strike or something like that as well. So yeah, So that's the deck. I'm excited. So that's deck number one. So let me know in the comments below if there's any changes you would make to the deck. Any cards that I missed, please let me know. Anything that you think would do well, you can jump in the Discord. I have a link in the description below. There's a section in there for deck lists if you want to paste the deck list in there that you think I should try. You want to see a day early to see if it's something that you want to start building towards. I do want to do some user decks on that day on top of my own, so I would really appreciate it if you guys give me some cool ideas. We'll have some fun that day. I'm excited. So I hope you guys are excited for Ikoria. I know I am. It looks like a really fun set, and I'm glad that we get to play around with it a little bit early. So we'll get a God account, so we have every single card. So if there's anything that you want to see, just throw it out there, and I'll be happy to do it. So thanks for your support. Look forward to a couple more decks I'm gonna be coming out with over the next few days. Also a live stream or two leading up to the event, just to talk about some of the things and play around with some of the current decks in the meta. And I appreciate your guys' support. So thanks. See you next time.